Hey guys, this is Mr. V, over here doing a book review today for All Quiet on the Western Front by Erich Remarque. Before I get into my book review, I want you to know that I try to do a spoiler-free book review, so if you see me looking down, I just have notes, I try not to give any spoilers away. So, the book, All Quiet on the Western Front. The premise for this book is, in 1914, a room full of German schoolboys, fresh-faced and idealistic, are goaded by their schoolmaster to troop off to the glorious war. With the fire and patriotism of youth, they sign up. What follows is a moving story of a young, unknown soldier experiencing the horror and disillusionment of life in the trenches. So that's the basic premise of it. You can see it's basically a story of life in the trenches in World War I. Before you consider reading this book, I would say that it's my recommendation that you know what trench warfare is and know a little bit about trench warfare. And I would also recommend this, that you be 18 or older to fully grasp the story. You can still read it if you're under 18. I would not say like there's violence or anything super crazy in terms of that, but it would be more that to grasp a lot of the concepts of the story, just because, this was an amazing book. I just thought this was an amazing book, that the author did a great job writing it, that you just feel the coldness and darkness immediately in the story. He did a great job with that, because, this is trench warfare, and trench warfare is very brutal, and you can just feel that. You could see how the soldiers feel in terms of what their life was like through their dialogue, that the things they do, how they act, you can just feel it. The author writes it out, and it's just amazing, because trench warfare is just very brutal. And you can see and the author goes in depth about how the front line feels, what it's like being in the trenches, but also what it's like when you're not in the trenches yet, but you're about to be put into the trenches, and how the soldiers act, knowing that, all right, pretty soon we're going to be put there. And it's just scary, because, when you're in there, you can get shot at any time, and that's always a scary thing. But you never really have true rest in the trenches. That you go to sleep and there's bunkers and all that, but you're not really under true sleep, because there's always bombs going off, or military could be rushing in. There's always things that can be happening, and in this book you just feel it. The author writes it in a spectacular way that you really feel how the soldiers feel. It was because he did an amazing job of the descriptions, to where you feel like you are there. You feel like you're in the trenches with them. And it's just, it is incredible. And he also did a great job, this book also did a great job of showing the mental toll that the soldiers go through, and the emotional toll that they go through. Again, they go through it mentally and emotionally, and you just feel tremendous emotion when reading this book. You do, because he shows how war changes people so much. And it's not one of those anti-war books, but he just shows how the war changes the people, how they're seeing dead people all the time, and how that psychologically impacts you, and how you could always be close to death. You never know, within 12 hours you could be shot, or your friend could be shot. And they start to say, can you ever feel normal again? The soldiers start to talk, because these are young soldiers, these 18-year-old, 19-year-old soldiers, and it's they feel hey, their youth has been taken from them. Some of the older soldiers, he's they've been married, or they've had some kids. Yeah, they're still very young, but it's our youth is taken. I've been here since I was 18, and then now they're 20 years old, or, things like that. And it's they never got to experience their youth. And it's just, there are many, many more scenes that I'm not going to go in depth about. There's so many scenes and conversations they have, and it's just very, very thought-provoking. And it just shows, again, how war can change people so much, but especially the life in the trenches. So that's why this was it was amazing. Now, some of the things I felt was somewhat marginal was, I felt his character development wasn't very good. But, it's a very short book. So there isn't much character development. You don't really need much more. But there were many characters in the book. It's like war, you don't get to know a lot about your armyman, but he did not give too much development. But one of the things was, I felt that maybe he had too many characters. You know, some of them live, some of them die. That's one you could say spoiler, but I think you already know that's going to happen. But he may have had too many characters, because I feel that a short book doesn't need this many characters, the amount that he had. And maybe that's why he also couldn't do a lot of character development for some of the characters. That could be one reason. And another thing that I did not like about the book was there was one area in the last like 20% that I felt dragged a bit. You know, it wasn't like the whole last 20% dragged. No, most of the book was great. But there was one area that I felt dragged just a little. So, you know, just that was one other thing I didn't like about the book. Now, as for his writing style, this author had an amazing writing style. Because you can just like picture the scenery with just a few words. It was like almost a poetic style of writing. Like he just did an amazing job of describing it to where you envision the atmosphere of war and you envision the trenches and you can just literally envision it. It was just super crazy how he could do that. And he keeps you like gripped. And I want to say gripped, not on the edge of your seat, but gripped in that there's a psychological and emotional element to it. That's where you feel gripped in that, like, because again, you may get shot at any point, or your soldiers may get shot at any point, and you just feel like, wow, that can happen. You're having just this conversations, and you know that, oh, the next day they could be gone. 12 hours later, they could be gone. And you also know that in war, that really did happen. So, you know, that's another just scary thing. It's just really crazy, and he just can portray all these things in his writing style. So he just did a fabulous job writing it. And, you know, overall, I just thought he did a great job with the story to where, I know, I highly recommend this book. I recommend that you know about trench warfare just a bit, but if you know about that, I highly recommend you guys go out and get this book. Now, I'm going to give it my official rating right now. I always rate my book on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is an awful book, a 5 is an average, and a 10 is phenomenal. If it gets anywhere near 10, that should be on your reading list because I'm a tough critic, so it's hard to move up even 1 point, and a 5 is average. So, for All Quiet on the Western Front, I'm going to rate this book an 8 out of 10, with a 5 being average. An 8 is very high in my rating system. Now, I'm rating it an 8 because I thought this was a great story. Now, I may have a little bit of a bias because I read a lot of history and I also watch many documentaries, so I know a lot about some of the aspects. But I just feel that this book just did such a phenomenal job of portraying so many things, you know, kept you gripped in it. It was very thought-provoking and it was just so well done. And that I think that you guys would really enjoy the book. But if you guys have any comments, any questions, anything like that, you know, please post it in the comment section below. I hope you guys click the subscribe button as I always upload multiple different types of book reviews. But thank you for watching my book review today. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy reading.